Hello everybody, I'm Moldy, and this is Shadows over Loathing once again. In the last episode, we came into a fortress full of Gatormen, found their king, who got himself all squadooshed by his own Goliath, and then we found the key that he had for Charles's cage. We also went fishing in a pool of his blood, but that's beside the point. Charles, you're free! You found the key? I think so. It's kind of weird though. Yeah, I don't like the look of that at all. I'd bet dollars to donuts that's the artifact we're looking for. It couldn't possibly be the key to this random Gatorman cage in the middle of nowhere then, could it? Well, it might have some kind of key-related powers. Normally I'd advise against using it, but I don't see any other way out of this mess. Okay, here we goes. That's right, the key is cursed, isn't it? The key shifts unpleasantly in your hand, buzzing and clicking through a jerky slideshow of shapes as though searching for the particular slice of a higher dimensional object that will fit this lock. When it finally finds the right one, it jerks forward in your hand and twists. The lock clicks open. Your hand feels numb. Thanks, Garplot. Thought for sure my bacon was well and truly fried. Don't mention it, Charles. Let's just get the heck out of this dump. With no further cause to stick around, apart from any unfinished side quests you may have, but you can always come back for them later, you escort Charles back to town. Let's go! Garplot, you found the cursed artifact and brought Charles back home safely. I can't express how grateful I am. I don't know what we'd do without him. Thank you so much. It wasn't nothing, but, it was something, but also the something that is nothing. The kind of nothing something that equals nothing, but also equals more than nothing, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I get it. Don't forget to uncurse that thing before you go to bed. This key seems like it has the power to open any lock. That could be extremely useful. Would it really be all that bad if I didn't uncurse it? Well, I'm not gonna drag you into the machine and force you to do it, but yes, I don't actually know what would happen if you don't uncurse it, but I assume it would be pretty bad. Look, you uncursed all the other things, right? Yes. Great, so go ahead and uncurse this one too, okay? Better safe than sorry. Fine. I'll uncurse the cursed key, and maybe that'll make it to also still be able to open every single lock in the world. Anyway, let's uncurse that key. The key jumps up to the roof of the dome and sticks there, shaking and keening. That's the sound keys make against the metal. The lights in the store whine, flicker, and then cut out completely. Dang it! Yeah, let's just wait it out. Only when the power is out does the key calm down, give up the most odious part of itself to the machine, and drop back down into your lap. Light returns to the store. Fixed it. We had a spare light bulb under the cat. Well, that's a perfect place to keep a spare bulb, I'd say. And now I've got an uncursed key. The key's curse lingers in the machine. It is itself an arcane lock to be solved only by a projection of consciousness. Yep. Let's go ahead and uncurse. Let's go. We are on a train now. And I got me a sweet mustache and a much less sweet hat. I've assembled everyone just as you asked, Detective, the victim's wife, the two men who were present in the passenger car at the time. I confess the truth of this murder continues to elude me, but no doubt you are soon to enlighten us with your great powers of deduction and observation. May I inspect the body again? No, that wouldn't be fair to the other passengers who haven't had a look yet. I see. Well then, guess everyone else needs their chance to tamper with the evidence. Place a knife in the hand, drill a hole in the head, give me all sorts of other things to go messing around with. But all I will tell you again what I know. At 11:13 a.m., the professor dropped dead in his chair after sitting down with his wife for a cup of tea. At that time, Mrs. Ryukenchi and Mr. Andretti were the only other passengers present in this car. Mr. Perry, I returned later. The rest, I leave to you to deduce, Detective. Well then, we've got a murder mystery. It's Niccolo Andretti, a businessman. He adjusts his cufflinks. Yes, keep your cufflinks right where they belong. You don't want them flying off when I accuse you of murder! Or any other crimes you may or may not be guilty of. I told you I'd never even heard of this man. I know of Burgerworth College, of course. It's an excellent institution, but I didn't know he was a professor there. Now come on, let's not delay our journey further. I'm traveling with 19 suitcases of exotic rubber to make new and exciting wheels at the factory. Detective mode. You observe closely to see what you can deduce. Exotic rubber, eh? No doubt from the jungles of Almodovar, whose local brand of nicotine I smell on his collar. Of course, the rubber plants of Almodovar don't just yield material for bouncy tires, but an odorless poison, lethal when drunk in hot tea. But why would this man abet the murder of a stranger? I suspect the answer lies in the resume on the table and the name printed on it, Martin Perry. So which one of you is Martin Perry? Yeah, that's Yume Ryokinji, the victim's wife. There's Martin Perry. The young man is absent-mindedly but methodically disassembling and reassembling a fountain pen. It's as I said, yes, the man was a professor of mine at Burgerworth College, and yes, he gave me a C and a D, but that's no reason to kill a man, wouldn't you agree? Perhaps at the time of his death, I was in the lavatory trying to figure out what all the bits and pieces do. The perfect alibi, wouldn't you agree? Detective mode. I will detect and detect everything you have in that little hat of yours. Each individual little hair tells a tale of how you killed a man, or how I could suspect you of killing a man. The tale will become clear. He's right, a mere C and D are no reason to kill one's professor, but is that the whole story? Observe how the boy tinkers with the fountain pen and the train lavatory. He fancies himself a mechanic, but he wouldn't get a foot in the door of that profession if his C and D stood for car. Dunce. C and D stood for car, dunce. Nobody would be able to hire him unless a professor who awarded those ignominious grades died. In that event, every grade he ever gave would be voided. And this young man could take a plum job in car manufacture and start earning the big bucks. So you do potentially have a very viable motive for the murder. And what about you, Yumi Ryokenchi, the victim's wife? The widow Ryukenchi dabs her eyes with a handkerchief embroidered with the words mourning rags and wipes. Well, that's a very convenient fucking name. How the fuck did I forget the word name? Convenient name for a product. Anyway, a moment's privacy, please, detective. I had nothing to do with my husband's death, and no reason to want him gone. He was a kind man, and not a rich one. Everything he made, he spent on the roulette tables. He owned over 700 of them. That's the largest collection in the world. We were traveling to Yorba Linda so the mayor could give my husband the key to the city, but that won't happen now. I am entering detective mode. You deduce that you should make some observations. Of course, every observation is meaningful. Nothing shall go unobserved. Sometimes the simplest answer is the correct one. She says she had no reason to wish her husband dead, but the chemical stain in her cuticles and fingertips on the window above which she opened to dispose of the murder weapon tell the tale more truly. But the nose reveals even more. Observe the zigzag pattern of the medical cleft below the nostrils. It's called Petrie's philtrum, and it's a rare genetic condition that she shares with Martin Perry, her son. Wait, so this guy is her son? So, the train coroner. You do have this guy's got a particularly viable method of poisoning him using the tire chemicals, but you're his wife. You've got a much more believable motive, Mr. Cardunce. What about this thing? This thing under the lifty thing the chefs use to present fancy meals. Perhaps there's even more evidence under there. Well, whatever. What about you, train coroner? Yes, detective. Perhaps they were all in on it together. She killed her husband, he wanted him dead, and this guy provided the stuff. Yes, the perfect crime. Methinks I've solved this murder. It was never in doubt, detective. Now tell us. Tell us all what happened. The victim was, well, poisoned, obviously. Poisoned by a giant dog. Why is that an option? But I believe the poisoner was Niccolo Andretti. What? Cretino! Please, all will become clear. It just needs some more explaining. Poisoned by Niccolo Andretti with exotic poison from Almodovar rubber tree. Yes. Out of greed, jealousy, lust, revenge, sick curiosity to shut him up, to protect someone or something, to avoid Martin Perry's car dunce grade, so he could make tires for Mr. Andretti. Yes, it's all coming together! Ludicrous. I'd give that a D for didn't get it right. Careful now, don't be a fool. You were gifted with great powers of deduction and observation. Now come on, use them! I guess that's not what happened. I must take my leave. Perhaps a little more investigating. Exotic rubber, yeah. Resume, Martin Perry. So, what about you? Start earning the big bucks. Unless you really did want him. He owned 700 roulette tables. But medical clip below the nostrils. I am less of a good detective than I thought I was. Well, let's see. He was poisoned by... You know what? I'm gonna finger his wife, and not in that way. With some of the poison from the rubber tree. And that was... Probably for her son Martin Perry's car dunce grade. Young Martin Perry dreams of working on cars, and his fresh ideas excite Mr. Andretti, who runs a tire factory, but Master Perry's professor has effectively blacklisted him as a car dunce, unemployable. What to do? Kill the professor, of course, and void that odious grade. Here, the plot becomes most wretched. Master Perry's mother, Yume Ryokenchi, marries the professor and arranges for him to be present on the very same train as Master Perry and Mr. Andretti, who supplies an undetectable poison administered by Ms. Ryokenchi, et voila! No more professor, no more car dunce, but there is one thing our three conspirators did not count on. Me! I'm not ashamed. Any parent, sir, would do the same, as would any manager seeking new talent with interesting ideas about tires. If you call someone a car dunce, you're branding them for life, and you're responsible for anything that happens next. How awful, the three of them in it together. Hey, I was right. I was just joking about that, all of them working together on it. Tell you what, detective, at the next stop they can all get out and take the bus. A sick business. Yeah, they don't deserve to ride the train, those murderers. It is the bus for them. A fate worse than death. Quite so, but a wonderful feeling. I think to be possessed of great gifts, great powers of deduction and observation, and to use them. Here's another, a gift. That is, call it a reward. Well, mysterious owl ring. Nice ring, isn't it? Look what rewards occur to the powerful. Look how the world itself reveals itself at your touch. Well, I must take my leave. And what does the owl ring do for me? I can't open my inventory. Wait, the curse remains unsolved? I thought I solved it! But apparently not. Okay, maybe I did it wrong. Maybe... Yes, he was definitely poisoned by me! With some poison out of greed. The victim was poisoned by me with exotic poison from the Almavodar rubber tree out of greed. What? What are you doing, detective? You already solved the case. You were given great power and you used it. Don't you remember? Don't you remember the ring? You're being foolish now. Well, but the ring, though. Go to bed. Yeah, I ain't going to bed yet. How do I uncurse this damn key, though? I was given that ring. But if I were to pop out here, then perhaps that's the wrong damn button. A gift from the train corner in a dream, or something. Well, I'm wearing the mysterious owl ring now. Let's jump back in here now that I'm wearing that ring. I admit, detective, I poisoned my husband, but spare me the reproach. Wouldn't you do just as I did if some scoundrel of the ivory tower branded your son a car dunce? No, then I dare say you are not a parent, sir. I confess, detective, I supplied the poison that killed the professor, but wasn't it worth it? Look at this resume of Martin Perry. Look at these interesting ideas he has about tires. Bouncier, globular, backwards. It's the life of one man worth more than bringing new and innovative wheels to the world? Yes, I did it. I did so I could hire Mr. Perry, and I would do it again tomorrow. And don't lie, detective. You would too. So why does the fucking key remain cursed? He gave me the ring, I solved the murder, but why? You really are as good as the papers say, detective, to sniff out that C and D grades stood for car dunce. Yes, I put the whole plot in motion, of course I did. Getting called a car dunce ruined any shot I had at a career in wheels. But a man's entitled to make a living, wouldn't you agree? This was the only way. Well then, yes, detective. What do you know about the case? 1113, blah blah blah. Used everything. Void the car dunce. I have solved the murder. Yes, I know. Wait, what are you getting at? The victim was stabbed by a giant dog with a claymore for revenge. You're a fool. A fool! I gave you great powers of deduction and observation. I gave you the power to bend back the skin of the world and sniff up its insides. How dare you waste it? You really want to live without this power? You really want to live in the dark? Yes. You're a fool, and I would sully the ring on the finger of a fool. Give it back now. You don't deserve it. I uncurse you! There we go! I just had to make an ass out of myself. That's the way to solve a murder for real! So, did the curse effectively try to bribe you into not destroying it? That's a little disconcerting. You look at the key that once harbored the shadowy magic. It shimmers in the light. It is upgraded. You check your finger and pockets. No mysterious owl ring. You are reminded of the great figures of history who wielded incredible power and chose to give it up. You can't think of anyone specifically, but the concept is interesting to consider. Who's someone famous who gave up great power? He's not famous, but my dad never eats more than he needs to at a buffet. I don't remember where I read this, but there's a rumor that Anne Boleyn had access to a tank but chose not to use it. No need, she said. And you know what else? Who else had a tank? Walt Whitman. I don't know about Walt Whitman having a tank, but good for you. Now, I forget what ring I had on. Oh wait, I remember now. It was my shield ring, the ring of repulsion. If I could just figure out which of these, there we go. Put that ring back on. I don't need no great owl ring or whatever it is that guy gave me. Time to pick a fourth store. Of course it is. The first applicant is Advanced Pants. It doesn't say what they plan on selling, but I have to assume it's pants. Second is Texas Instruments. Guy from Texas selling musical instruments, I suppose. Sounds about right. And the last applicant is 10 Things I Had About You. Yep, let's get the instrument store. We ain't getting no hat store in here. We don't need it. Well, it might be good to have, but fuck it. Their name is bad, and they should feel bad. I like the sound of the instrument store, hopefully. Ha ha. Okay, I'll get them moved in and get the next storefront ready for applicants. You find a hook on one of the ceiling beams and hang up your new refrigerator. Oh, right, I forgot about that. I took the fucking hanging fridge, and it's fully stocked with terrible Gatorman beverages. Gatorman Cola? What is that? Max health goes up by 11. That is good. Them Gatormen have some real good cola. Like, some super good stuff. Anyway, I'm all out of time for this episode, so thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope to see you again in the next one. Goodbye!